welcome to the Three Quarters podcast. Of course, jump onto the hashtag 3QP and let us know what your sporting interests are and, what you'd like to see on the show. I'm Damima Duffield.
And I'm Kamuya.
So we start off with before we jump into our feature game. So guys, we keep telling you to jump onto the hashtag and let us know what you'd like to see on the show. Give us your feedback. Of course, like, share, subscribe, all of that. So we listened to what you guys said. In the sense that we're going to be having one long show. So you don't have to wait for, part 2 to drop, part 3 to drop. Some of you guys are lazy. We know. But thanks for the feedback and thanks for the support. So yeah, we'll be having one long show instead of 3 parts.
And no more excuses that they don't know part 2 and part 3.
Exactly. Now you've got everything all wrapped up into, one goodie bag.
That's true.
So yeah, now we move on to our feature game.
Yeah.
So the playoffs, Kenya Cup playoffs, we had, 3, 4, 5, and 6 playing against each other. And our feature game was Kenya Harlequins hosting Impala. Derby will always be, it's a derby.
Yeah.
And it's the original derby.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, I think...
I'm sorry, homeboys.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So that was a game and a half. Harlequins coming out on top, 29-24. But... this one stung. I mean, he's very happy, but we all know where my heart lies. It was a good game though. Most of it. I feel like yes, Kenya Harlequins played well in terms of consistency. They took chances where they needed to take chances, but I feel like this is not the Kenya Harlequins we've been seeing all season. That was definitely not the Kenya Harlequins we've been seeing. I expected them to play better. Impala had moments of brilliance, and it would just be an up and down sort of seesaw thing, and that obviously, they decided to come to the game way too late, and that cost them, the game. What do you think?
Granted, it's not the performance guys had expected, and I think guys have become spoiled because of what we've seen Queens do throughout the season. And number one, Impala have not really had a strong season. You can remember in the game during the league at Impala, Queens ran out 20-25 points in the first half, and that's what people were expecting, especially with the introduction of Eden Aguero back in the squad, having come back from sevens. Guys were expecting it was going to be a blowout. But look, at the same time, we also need to accept that this was a much better outfit, personnel-wise, from Impala compared to, and no disrespect to the guys who played in the first game, this was a much better team personnel-wise from Impala. We also need to accept the fact that Impala have been on the ascendance in the last few weeks. So it was going to be an improved performance from Impala, and I expected that. And that's what we saw. Granted, Queens were the ones first off the blocks, but Impala scored 2 tries, and they were able to, scare a couple of guys.
Yeah, keep that lead for a short while.
The game was a seesaw. I was very impressed by 2 things: Impala scrum and their defense. While granted, yes, Queens did come out with some points when they were in Impala's 22, they had to work for those points. It was not easy. It was not easy for them to leave Impala's 22 with those points. So you have to give props to Impala's defense. Harlequins on the other side, I think it's what you're saying. I think they were more consistent throughout the game. What impressed me from Harlequins' perspective is, remember, throughout this season, Harlequins has been more of a first half team. And they always crumble in the second half. That was the fear that everyone was talking about. I mean, and granted, while there were changes that were made to the starting lineup, when the teams were named last week on Thursday, everyone saw, Nato Simiyu starting at number 10 and Samuel H on the bench. During game day, of course, and Anthony Adhiambo slotted to number 10, Samuel H was 15, and Nato was on the bench. And the general feeling was that they're leaving Nato for late when Queens normally has a problem. We didn't see that on the day.
Nato came on, gave Ambunya
the ball.
I mean, that resulted in a try, and you're almost like, oh my gosh, we should have just left the kid on. But it happens.
It happens, and I just think Nato didn't settle into the game. He was given a very short time to settle.
It was way too late.
It was way too late. They were chasing the game, and look, if granted, Nature's a seasoned player, but when there's pressure, it's a Kenya Cup quarterfinals or the playoffs, it's knockout rugby, you've been introduced late into the game, while you have had time to see how the opponents are playing, you have to implement whatever you want to implement fast. And that trash is what normally causes mistakes, and that's what happened. Also, I mean, you can't take it away from David Ambunya. I think that's his 6th intercept this season. So he's gotten very good at reading the opposition play, and that's what he was able to do on that particular play. So, a CISO game for neutral, it was definitely an entertaining game.
Yeah.
For us guys who had sides, it was a very tense game. It was a nerve-wracking game. But kudos to Harlequins for winning this game.
Yeah. I like that you pointed out Impala's defense, because I did note that. I mean, I feel like if they had more possession, they'd have done more with the ball. But the few times they did have possession, unforced errors.
Yes.
That was like the song of the day, and it killed them.
Yes.
Like you'll get a ball and you'll have a brilliant short pass, and someone will run in, and then they'll knock the ball, and it just some things just were not happening for Impala on the day.
It was unforced errors, and in such games, it's knockout rugby, like you're saying. You take your chances.
Yep. And
Impala just had too many errors, and I think that's why they lost on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, well done to Quins.
Yeah.
So, bad man of that game, basically. Bad man of the week. For me, to be honest, I felt the Harlequins' performance was more sort of all-round. Usually I would go with Eden, but on that day I wouldn't say he had a stellar performance per se. And I know you usually pick your bad man from the winning team, but I will go with Elkins Musonye. 1, moved to a new club. 2, almost immediately I saw an impact when he came. 3, this is a derby, and he's not even like Impala blood, and he scored 2 of the first tries. Well, the first 2 tries. So for me, it would be Elkins Musonye because of that and because of his defense. Of course, there were other people who stood out. That's Billy Omondi. I mean,
He is good on the wing.
It takes grit to stop William Baka in full flight. But mine would be Elkins Musonye.
He was my early contender, and at Impala won the game. I think I would have gone with Elkins Musonye. My reason, of course, is then
they lost the game.
They lost the game, and at some point he faded. I didn't see him towards in the second half, but he was definitely my guy from what I saw in the first half. My guy though was Tony Mutai at the second row. His ball carrying, his lineups. And Tony, what I like about Tony is he's not really flashy. He does what needs to be done. He does what's required of a second row. At his age, he's very mobile. Of course, with experience, he breaks the lines. He has his hands free. If somebody's running off him, you can be guaranteed it's going to be an offload, and that's what we saw: the ball continuity and his line out, and he's running in open play, and also his defense. So my bad man of the week is Tony Mutai.
Well, very well done to those 2 hard workers. We know they definitely grind.
Yes, that's true.
So we had another game, obviously, the other playoff game, which was Nakuru hosting Mwamba. Now this was going to be a tough one because it was down in Nakuru, but Mwamba is. I mean, yes, they have lost to Nakuru before, but I think I've said this before, that they are Nakuru's bogey team. They tend to, they're the team that goes to Nakuru and you're not sure how,
it's gonna,
And Collins Jar showing that I can also play 15s.
Yes.
I'm so happy he's not playing 7s right now.
I think everybody.
So happy. So Mwamba winning that game just by 18-17.
Yes.
That I think is
commendable. But I mean, look. God is a fair God, as they say. There is no way Mwamba have been playing some very good. Save for the first season, 2-3 weeks, they've been playing very good rugby. So I think it's deserved. And the fact that they beat Nakuru in Nakuru, and again, makeshift team, moved Collins Jarrett to number 12. I guess just to neutralize the effect of Oscar Oma, who's been deployed at number 12. It's a deserved win for Mwamba.
First time in 6 years. It's been coming. It's been coming.
2 years ago, they lost narrowly to Queens and in the quarters. So yes, it's been coming.
So in the semi-finals, that's the Kenya Cup semi-finals, we have Cabras versus Mwamba. And we have KCB versus Kenya Harlequins, which I think is the game that everybody is looking forward to. But before the semi-finals, Kenya Cup semi-finals, we have the Enterprise Cup semi-finals. While these games are like, you're on and then you're off. And then
it's all knockout now.
Yeah, it's all knockout rugby
Yeah.
right now. So we've got Impala versus KCB and Kenya Harlequins versus Cabras.
Yeah.
And that is at the...
All of them will be Nairobi.
Yes, all of them will be at Nairobi.
Yeah, in Nairobi.
Yes.
Not
Wow. Wow. No, it's because I'm thinking they'll be at Kenya Harlequins.
No.
At the RFEA grounds?
Yes.
Or RFU grounds, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think will go, for those games?
Look, Cabras and Impala Cabras and KCB have had the added advantage of having a week off.
Yeah.
Therefore, the guys have been able to rest. But at the same time, that can also be work to your detriment because then you become rusty. I don't think that's going to be the case.
No.
I don't think it's going to be the case. I think KCB are going to beat Impala, and I think Cabras are going to beat Kenya Harlequins. But we're up for surprises.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to these games.
Yeah, and boy, don't we want surprises.
Yeah. Upset.
Yeah.
We want an upset.
Yep, that's true.
So now we move on to the fact that the Kenya Rugby Union has laid plans, basically, for the Kenya Women's 15s team for the Rugby World Cup qualifications.
Yeah.
And that's in 2021.
Yes.
Now, I'm happy to hear this in the sense that we haven't had proper 15s rugby for the women, like international games, in so long. It was so disappointing having Elgon Cup, but just the guys. And for me, I mean, this is a personal one. I feel like, so what are you supposed to do with all those players? They can't all play sevens. I mean, what are you doing to grow the game? And finally, so Moses Dale being now, in charge of women's rugby, has decided, if preparations go as we want them to, then, we want to have a 15s team and we want them to play against the Lady Cranes. I think that's a very good move. We have the Aberdeen Shikori Cup. May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yes, that was one of the captains that we've had for the Kenya Lionesses.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to add to that. But so we have basically franchises.
Yes.
Or franchise. I know it's not.
Wow.
And
I don't speak pretty good English.
But today, no.
Anyway.
So we've got Tembo,
Yes.
which will be made up of Nakuru, Shamas, Kisumu, Edgerton, MMUST, that's how Most, and Maseno University.
Yeah.
And then we've got Chui, which will be Impala, Homeboys and Comras. And then we've got the Black Lions, which will be Mwamba, Northern Suburbs, and Blood Babes from Kenyatta University. So those are the three teams that will be part of, basically. And the ladies will be picked off that for like a Kenya Lionesses probables and possibles, basically. Yeah. And I think this is all good, in the... this is the first time for the Rugby World Cup, Women's Rugby World Cup, that there will be a repechage. So if we don't win, which will be hard, then there's a repechage, and then we can have a hashtag.
Then we meet with the big guns. It's all good when it's talk. But implementation, and that one. Look, the truth is, we haven't been given so much confidence in terms of implementation. So we have to leave it there. It's a very good initiative, and if implemented to the letter, then of course it's going to be very good for the women's game. Like you're saying, it's unfortunate that you don't have a 15th team. And then what happens to the pool of players, as you've said? Like, not everyone can play sevens. So it's a good initiative, and I only hope that it's going to be implemented to the matter.
I definitely know the girls are very excited about this. I mean, everyone is always looking up to the sevens players and, I want to go play sevens and I want to travel. Now there's something for everyone else.
That's true.
And it just gets more girls involved in the game. I mean, of course, it's 15. So, anyway, good initiative. Let's see how it goes. Of course, we're behind them all the way.
That's true.
So now we're talking about Zimbabwe. Well, we are, right? And they'll be participating in the Supersport Rugby Challenge, which starts around the 4th? Yes. Of May. So the guys who will be participating will be from the Zimbabwe Academy, not like, the main team, but I think this is good because this means that you're getting your youngsters out there playing against, tough teams, and they're already in camp, which is good. At least there's some form of preparation. But what do you think about it?
Okay. So, let me start. Okay, of course, just to notify people, the Supersport Rugby Challenge is what has replaced what used to be known as the Vodacom Cup. For those of you who follow, the Kenya Simbas participated in the World Cup in 2014. Now, and Damima, you remember this. During last year's Rugby Africa Gold Cup, we said that Zim were not participating for that particular qualifiers. Zim were actually putting structures for the next few years.
Yep.
And we're starting to see it happening. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to take heat, but let me say it.
What's new?
What's new? And I'm sure there are very many guys who are going to agree with me outside. With the way Zimbabwe is going, it's just a matter of time before the tables shift, or the tables turn in Africa. And Kenya is the one who's going to suffer. Because these guys, their under 17, under 21 teams are already participating in South Africa. Now you have the academy boys going to participate in the Super Sport Rugby Challenge. What does that do? It increases the level of competition, the talent level. Meanwhile, all we're doing is playing Elcon Cup. We're not facing any
proper opposition.
You remember during the election period, one of the candidates said that, we don't have to go to South Africa. And I'll say it, I found it very dumb, because how do you improve if you don't want to?
How do you level up?
How do you level up? I mean, Damima, we have our teams going, and no offense to KCB, I think they're doing very well. But KCB go to South Africa almost every year, and they are beaten by the Western Province under 21 team. What does that show you about the level of rugby that we're playing? So we need this kind of matchups. And now Zimbabwe are the ones who are doing it. We are not going to be playing in the Super Sport Rugby Challenge, at least not next year or even this year. So what happens to the standard of the Kenya Simbas? It's going to continue dipping. And we're going to take hit for whatever reason. But look, it's time. The beauty of life is time. We will see what's going to happen.
Well, we'll see.
Good for Zimbabwe, of course. It's good for Zim, and it's good to see the direction that Zim are taking. You could see the intention from right when they got Peter de Villiers, former South Africa coach, to coach them. You remember in last year's campaign alone, they poured in $1 million just for the 15s rugby. So definitely we're going to see the effect very soon, and unfortunately for Kenya, we're going to suffer.
You heard it right here. Anyway, so also on international rugby, we've got Super Rugby. Of course, I know lots of guys follow that. So match day 11, Crusaders beat Lions 36-10. Highlanders beat Sunwolves 52-0. Wow. Hurricanes beat the Chiefs 47-19. Sharks beat the Waratahs 23-15. Stormers Bulls, very tight game, 24-23 in favor of Stormers, and Jaguars beat the Brumbies 20-15. Did those go as expected?
Yes, it did. And by the way, just to tie into something not we've been saying about the Zimbabwe thing, when Sunwolves, of course, they've been dropped now from Super Rugby, but when these teams were introduced to the Super Rugby, the Jaguars and the likes, after the expansion that we saw in the Southern Hemisphere, they used to be the whooping boys of Super Rugby. Now, Jaguars are beating Brumbies, who have been a stalwart of Super Rugby. They've been in Super Rugby ever since the inception. It's because of these constant matchups. When you play the best, then you only can up your game, right? And you also expose your guys to, what do I call them? Rugby specialists, for lack of a better word. So when you see, the only reason why Gordon Tigens wanted to come and coach the Kenya Sevens team is because of the exposure. Because he saw the Kenya players. That's how you get the rugby specialists wanting to play these guys. So it's a good win. Of course, my Crusaders performing very well, not giving us heartaches. Brilliant try by Severus. So 36-10. I can only imagine how it's going to go match day 12.
So match day 12, we've got Crusaders versus Sharks, Reds versus Sunwolves, Hurricanes versus Rebels, Highlanders versus Chiefs, Brumbies versus Blues, Bulls versus Waratahs, and Jaguars versus Stormers.
So for those people who are part of those fantasy leagues, continue doing it. I find it very tough. I see the notifications every Friday. Pick your picks. It's too much. It's too much. But anyway, the Super Rugby season is live, and guys should continue watching the game.
So now on to you guys who love your football, as well as you love your rugby, of course. But people who love their football. We start off with E.P.L wrap up, match day 36. So Liverpool versus Huddersfield.
Wow.
Walk in the park, 5-0 to Liverpool. Tottenham losing to West Ham, 1-0. Leicester, yes, this is the one
Everyone is talking
so
about.
yeah, Arsenal with their red card, losing to Leicester City, 3-0. Burnley FC losing to Man City, 1-0, and Man United and Chelsea drawing 1-1.
You know, there's a meme I was saying.
Yeah.
Like an Arsenal, Arsenal in front of you is a Champions League, and Arsenal quickly engage reverse gear.
Wow.
They don't want to make the
Like, no.
They don't want to make the top 4. It's the second loss in a week. They lost to Crystal Palace. They lost to actually 3 losses. They lost to Crystal Palace, they lost to Watford, and now they've lost to Leicester.
Like, who are we? Not we.
Yes, but who are they losing to? I mean, and no offense to those teams, but still, come on, a team of Arsenal's caliber, really? Crystal Palace. What?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Arsenal for you. Liverpool, pretty convincing. I think for them the title is gone. It's unfortunate, but look, it's another 2 games. You can call it yet. Spurs, they've been erratic this season. You can see exactly what's happening. Losing 1-0 to West Ham.
Yeah.
City still showing how convincing they are.
Yeah.
Beat Manchester United in the course of the week, and then now beating Burnley. And United versus Chelsea, the game that everyone was watching, 1-1. So even for United, what I just laugh is Arsenal slip up, you don't capitalize on it because everyone is fighting for.
It's like, how do we help you?
How do we help you guys?
Yeah.
So that's match day 36.
Yep. So match day 37, we've got Bournemouth and Tottenham, 54 on Tottenham, 22 on Bournemouth. Newcastle 11, Liverpool 70. We've got Chelsea 65, Watford 14, Huddersfield 9, Man United 72, Arsenal 69, Brighton 11, Man City 85, and Leicester City 5. Only 5%. So do you agree with those?
Oh, Leicester have 5 after beating Arsenal.
I know, right?
Unfortunately.
Like no one believes in you.
No, predictions are pretty. I would actually predict as they are predicted.
I'm just thinking that's probably what we said last week, and then
all this happened.
Yeah,
then last week happened. Jesus Christ, 3-0 last night. Anyway, I think it's gonna go as you mentioned.
Yeah. So we had F1, the Baku City Circuit.
Yeah.
And things shifted, kidogo. I'm sure, I know there are people who, I've been looking at people's IG stories, and you just, F1. Yeah, so Bottas on top.
Yep.
Then Hamilton, then Vettel, then Verstappen, and then Leclerc. Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Charles Leclerc. Hey, like you're saying, it's changing, but it's between the Mercedes guys.
I know,
between
right?
Valtteri Bottas.
It's not going to be someone else?
No, it's between Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. And then Sebastian Vettel actually came out saying that he feels like Mercedes' dominance is boring for the game or for the sport of F1. Hey, do something about your car. Because clearly the Mercedes car, okay, granted, look, Sebastian Vettel is a 4-time world champion. So talent is there, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I think he can measure up with the Lewis Hamiltons and the Valtteri Bottas. The issue must be the car. And Ferrari's car, they've said, is while it's not working for him, okay, granted it's working for Charles Leclerc, but the issue they always do with Ferrari's car is just one thing happens in the race and they can't keep up with the rest.
Yeah.
Mercedes build a car for a durable car that's able to handle the whole race, and I think that's what we are seeing, and that's why we are seeing the dominance by Mercedes. So it's again still between Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton.
Guys, durability. That's my take.
That's your
takeaway. Yes.
Yeah.
So N.B.A. playoffs. How do we see it playing out? I mean, we had the second round picks.
Yeah.
Warriors, Raptors, Bucks. Heavy favorites.
Yeah.
But some people are like, now we see an upset. What do you think?
I don't know. Okay, the upset that I see. And even I'm pushing it because it's just the first games that have been played. Is Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks. Celtics, of course, the Bucks are the ones who finished first in the Eastern Conference, and everyone is expecting them to beat Celtics in the semifinals. But Celtics now have taken one game, and you can't. I don't think you can write them off, Celtics. And I say this primarily because of what I saw last season. With their stars out, they're a team that can rise up to the challenge when need be. but things have to be working for them. And I know, like this season, many of the guys who featured in last year's team have not been starting players on this year's team because the stars have been back. So, whether I see an upset, I would love to see an upset, in all honesty, but I don't see it happening. And also, Celtics, the performance this season is proving LeBron James right in what he said about Kyrie. I think he's not a leader. You hope that he can be able to get that in this run. It's going to be tough, but you hope it's going to come. As for Toronto Raptors and 76ers, I think Raptors are too strong for them. Warriors and Rockets. Warriors won the first game, but amid controversy, people are saying that the referees were calling game for the Warriors. James Harden has been fouled, but they're not calling it. But I still think the Warriors have too much firepower for the Houston Rockets. The Denver Nuggets and Portland Trail Blazers. For some reason, I want to see Portland win. But look, it's the playoffs. I'm sure by the time we're shooting next week, we'll have some answers to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we move on to the bonus segment, and we're talking about the Ministry of Sports Principal Secretary, Ambassador Kirimi Kaberia.
Yeah.
And he says that basically there's a need for federations to comply with the Sports Act of 2013, just to line everything up, and then he's basically saying, look, these officials need to not spend a million years here.
Yeah.
We need to get them out, get new guys, and so your time is from here to here.
Yeah.
So what do you think about what he said basically? Do you agree with him?
There's definitely a need for compliance. Definitely a need for compliance.
Yeah.
Again, I know I'm going to take heat for this, but look, I'll say it as is. The second schedule, for those of you who don't know, an act. The laws, there are normally some things called schedules.
It's okay. We are many. Usisikie vibaya, it is fine. There's no shame.
When you read the acts at the end, there's some things called schedules. And the second schedule of the Sports Act, it says that the running of sports organizations or federations will comply. Actually, sorry, the elections will comply with Article 81 of the Constitution. Article 81 is basically about gender balance. Now, span in the works. You know where I'm heading, but I'll just ask the question. For example, at the Kenya Rugby League, we had 3 women, right or wrong?
Yeah.
We had 3 women who were contesting, and none of them was elected. Have we complied with the Sports Act? There's some questions raised.
That's a hard no. Yeah.
But that's that. Now, another thing about the second schedule, and I understand where the ambassador is coming from, or the ministry is coming from. Another thing about the schedule is, it says you will serve 2 terms of 4 years each. All right? Now, during the Kenya Rugby Union elections, I remember the Mwamba chairman, George Mbai, who's a lawyer, raised the issue of 2 directors who were running for re-election, yet they had served their 2 terms.
Yeah.
The outgoing chairman, who's also a lawyer, said that they had forwarded the matter to the Sports Tribunal for interpretation. And as such, they would not comment on anything, and they would proceed, and this case would stand. Ngaro, who's also a lawyer, did his background or his research at the Sports Tribunal, and there's no such interpretation that has been asked for. So you only ask yourself what they were trying to achieve. But then the question is, there's a breach.
Yep.
So are you complying with the Sports Act?
Yeah.
There's so many other things that have not been complied with the Sports Act, and this is just the Kenya Rugby Union. You can imagine all the other federations.
Yeah.
Kenya Swimming, volleyball, Football Kenya.
Yeah.
And the Sports Act, the biggest problem we've seen in sports in Kenya, we keep on making noise about the government. It's not the government's work. The reason why there are all these federations to govern the sports. That's where the problem has always come in. I remember 2 years ago, the Kenya volleyball team, the women's team, was unable to go for the Grand Prix in Brazil, I think, and it's because they didn't have airfare, which is about 8 million shillings. Then I was, social media, and people start ranting, and people start tagging the president and the Ministry of Sports. And the question I was asking is, look, you're tagging the Ministry of Sports, you're tagging the government, and you're forgetting the Kenya Volleyball Federation.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are tasked with managing the game. So why didn't they organize for these guys to have their tickets?
Yep.
As it is, they're already in debt with the FIFA Federation, the Volleyball International Federation.
Yep.
So the biggest issue that has been with managing of sports in Kenya has been the federations and has been the officials who are leading these federations. The Sports Act deals largely with the management of sports, with the administration of sports. And I think that there needs to be compliance with that Sports Act because it's a brilliant piece of legislation. I remember during the Kenya Open, Kenya Golf Union chairman, Lucas Maranga, actually did say that, look, we have looked at the Sports Act, it's a brilliant piece of legislation. He was appealing to the president, it's a brilliant piece of legislation. We only hope, that you can do some 1, 2, 3 things just to tweak it, but in general, it's a brilliant piece of legislation. I think the Kenya Golf Union have actually complied with the Sports Act. And it shows. The results are the same. So, we have problems.
And basically what Ambassador Kabira was saying is, once you comply with the Sports Act, then the government can step in.
Yes.
But if you haven't, then what are we stepping in to do?
What are we stepping into?
Because you're already not playing by the rules. And then we're meant to help you. But anyway.
When I was even in shock. I was being told that very many, and we talked about it only, in January, Damima, so many of the teams in Kenya Rugby have not complied with the Sports Act. So, look, like you're saying, comply with the act first. And then now you can start talking.
Then you can put the government to task.
Serikali's idea.
But guys, what do you think? Also, these bonus segments, very important. Anyway, guys, remember you can find us on social media. That is by following us on Instagram, liking our page on Facebook, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Damima Duffield.
And I'm Kamuya.
One take wonder.